Alright guys, so we're going to check out our next adventure here, and it's going to be certain areas in West Virginia. Um, Now, to me, West Virginia is kind of a pass-through state. Um, I mean, they may hold up in certain regions, but I'm just calling it a pass-through state. So essentially what I got to do is, you got Monongahela State Forest, National Forest right down here. We know that this is a hub for them. Multiple people have either had encounters or researched them through this region. So what we're going to do is make this a hub. All right. So now we made that a hub, and essentially what I would do for West Virginia is try to backtrack from where we went near Pennsylvania, Ohio in one of our last videos, where they would come down through. We can back this out here a little farther. Now you're starting to collect data points, where they would move, how they could move, etc. So when we zoom in here, we're going to see, okay, well, this is where they kind of were coming across and coming down. The Wayne National Forest over here is of interest. I definitely know they move through there. I've heard it time and time again. But we were really trying to look in the southeast section of West Virginia. So what I'll have to do is try to backtrack this. So we've got two main roads, West Union, Salem, right through there, the 50, and we've got the 33 down here near Spencer, and they kind of cut the whole state, right in half. So we need to find the regions that they would cross these highways coming south to get into the Monongahela State Forest. All right, so after a little research, the Burnsville Lake Wildlife Management Area would be a minimal holdup area, I would call it, as they're coming down, crossing through near Wildcat. To me, that makes sense. So now as we look at this, I've got three lines that come down. We're still going to try to connect them a little farther north up through there. But for now, we came down through Burnsville, which is this forest down through here. Sure has some traffic routes, almost 100%, because you have some waterways up here to the north, which they may use, but I'm trying to give you the best locations. Let's face it, they're not going to want to get wet all the time, every day. I mean, deer do get wet, other animals get wet, but 90% of the time they're staying dry. When they have to get wet, they'll get wet, but it's not like they're trying to go and do that every day. So we come down here, and kind of where these lines actually intersect, which is pretty interesting, is the Holly River State Park. We're just outside of Wheeler, and that breaks into toward the Monongahela Forest. So to me, this Holly River State Park, I am going to put a push pin almost where the two intersect, and here, and we're going to save that, and it's going to be just off the 20 or the 24. The 10 runs up just north, actually south of my push pin, so you can see where you're at. I don't think there's any. Is there any other roads? What road is that? There's a couple, but you can't see because I have, let me see, Laurel Fork. It's right off of Laurel Fork here, up in this timber. So you can actually see like the 10. The 10 comes here, crosses the red line, and kind of goes up. So you're not very far off the 10, kind of where they intersect right there. That's a good hub area. If I was in that region, that's where I would be researching. Now, if we're going to backtrack, we got to get these lines to head north. I mean, they could head west, but I'm going to look for the best routes here and see what I can come up with. So I've got some more lines. If they're traveling out of Pennsylvania, coming down through West Virginia, there's a void through here They could go a million different routes. It's so vast in this section here. But if we're guessing where they're gonna, let's go ahead and draw that out. If they come down, there's really no advanced issue. I mean, why go toward Brink when you could be unimpeded all the way almost to Smithfield? In my honest opinion, you got some east-west highways. So you're just outside of the mobile schoolhouse here. You're just west of Colburn, down east of Big Run. You're almost getting down into Smithfield, where this becomes a hub region. It's kind of vast down here. Stout Run Cemetery, Smithfield. So I mean, they could literally come from anywhere, and we're just trying to track them back. So let's see if we bring that down through Smithfield here. Whoop. You know, we could get down into, you know, we're almost touching. It's really vast out here in West Virginia. Things are kind of spaced out, and when you find the openings around certain highways, so as you look back, that's almost an unimpeded line to cross the 50 as they come down out of PA. That would be an interesting track to pay attention to. The more west you go, more roads, you know, I mean, not saying that they're not crossing roads, but along the rivers, there's more cities, larger areas. Toward the east, you know, where they break into Monongahela, you can almost start to see patterns emerge from, you know, before. Even where I'm at, way up in western New York, I'll do that later on, New York. But you find these hubs and these waterways and the way they move and how they can get unimpeded from one region to the next. All right, so we got a lot going on. The lines that come out of the Burnsville forest, looking at, you know, where they might go, where they might cross. So what we had to do is figure out where they're going to cross the 119 and where they're going to come across the, I think this is the 50 or the 79. It's a 79. So that's where they would come across the 79. I'm not really looking at these as research areas. I'm trying to find, since the state is vast and it's what I call a mover state, I'm looking for these hubs kind of where this comes together. You've got a triangulation almost. Well, you got Jefferson Shoals Cemetery off to the west. You got B Mills Methodist Church here. This is the 17 near the 17-2. I am going to, this is Copley Road. This is a region where I would be doing some research 100,000%. Now you might have to encompass that near Rock Run up here to the right, or down toward Cabin Run down here on the left, but you got some homes down in here. Not to say they won't go near homes. I'm just trying to figure out the best method of movement across the state based on my research, based on a whole bunch of things that I implement. I just don't go ahead and draw lines. I'm implementing different things to get from point A to point B, and then we're going to see where it works out. All right, so I kind of extended these up if they're headed north, which they could head west, and that's the biggest problem is you're guessing on which way they're going to go. I'm focused north. I kind of didn't do anything west. I stayed to the east of the state, and what we're looking for. So now if they're coming from the west, the 50, the 33 down below, let's just say they are coming from the west. Eventually they're going to hit these hubs over in here that I've pointed out that, you know, this in this Burnsville, really this Burnsville State Forest is one of the best places that I'm just going to go ahead and put a point on here because that is one of the best hubs where you're going to have so much traffic coming in, not so much north or northeast. I would concentrate on mid or westerly, or, you know, you got some waterways through here too. But definitely that state forest is definitely going to have traffic, and if you can figure out where they're going to come across somewhere in this region too, I'd put another point just outside the Postal Service on the 19 near the 35.5. Just so you can see that region right there. Very rural anyway. And then we're going to put another place mark here where these intersect. And these weren't like, how do I say it? I didn't like look at them. I was doing my thing on each line, extending it and moving it through. And, you know, it fall, and it seems like they always fall just outside of houses, right in this region. So Pleasant Hill Road, I bet you that these people have had sightings. If I knew who they were and could ask them. But you're at Pleasantville Road. You know, there's the, I guess it's the 24 is what you would call it. That's a hub to me where they would probably come through a lot and do, you know, crossing. The whole goal is trying to get their movement across the state, north to south, east to west, in due time. So I've brought the line down basically out of PA here, near Smithfield. You know, you can see a larger map. Kind of the whole goal was to get them across the 50 and the 33. But now we're coming to a point where this hub here, they could come east, west, north, south. So this area right in here is should be studied or really taken a look at. Just outside of St. Clara. I don't think they're going to head up toward the 18. They may, but if they do cut back to the right here from like one of these types of things off through St. Clara, if you get what I'm saying now, and if they're coming up north toward their other hub here, well, what I should have done is extended St. Clara based on my research. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Cancel that. I wanted the ruler, and we want to do a point from here, and we'll just extend it out through there, just so it's crossing lines. So we're going to do it again, and then we're going to look. If they cross the 10-4, they're going to come more. You got that ridge, you got that, that's that. You're going to come this direction. Okay. Okay. Let me see. So I will almost guarantee that people in this house have had some type of sightings. What is the name of this creek here? Or what did it say? Leading Creek. Off the 6. Right there. Because they can cross, obviously, either side. But that's just where my line fell, was close to their house that we just did. I guarantee that they've had some type of encounters or experiences. See, now this line, if this is a traffic corridor, they can go any which way up towards St. Clara. You know, we would have to draw it out, you know, in this type of fashion toward the whatever this is. You'd have to go this direction, and then you'd have to show where we were before and have to come north again. Whoop. Sorry about that. And then we'd have to break off where we were here and come north again. But now, all that, you started to see a hub here. You see what I'm saying? You see where they all connect and correlate? So, you've got the 60-2. You've got a lot of rural area. And whoever lives in this house, this is a house here off the 60-3 right here. These people, I wish I knew the address. I could probably get the coordinates, but I don't want to call it out on Facebook here or on YouTube. But 60 by 3 is the highway. This is a major hub, 100%. And I guarantee, I'm putting a pin right there. Right there. Just outside of this. Looks like a little creek comes down through here. It's very sparsely populated. So, I mean, the problem is they could go east, west, north, south. But essentially, this hub right here. So we just narrowed the whole state down to a major hub right there. That anywhere they probably come across the state, to get to Monongahela, to go north, coming east, coming west, that section of the state is going to be crucial, in my opinion. We're going to put a pinpoint there, maybe a couple, but as long as there's one there, I'll erase this out of there so you can see just north of St. Clara. To me, this is where somebody should be doing some research. What road is this? This happens to be maybe just a trail. Yeah, because it's not really showing me. Well, we got some water. This is the 6-3. Yeah, we got some waterways coming down through there. I don't know if anybody's from West Virginia, but if you're doing some research, that's where I would be. You've got all these. You got a lot. The topography's decent up here. Off to the right is Indian Fork. Right up in there. Now, I don't know if there's been sightings here. I have no idea. But I'm telling you, based on my research and based on the way my lines fall, that these are hubs that I would be checking out. We're going to check where we put the points. This one was just outside of Wheeler, the lowest one. The other 3 were next to Burnsville Wildlife Management Area. This is where 2 of the ley lines where they I believe they were crossing come through, and that's off the 24, just outside of the Green Hill Church. Down south here, you can see it. So you have reference points I'm giving you, so you can actually go to these places and say, hey. So there's a couple places they can cross the 19.3 up near the Victory Church here. That wasn't a research area to me because it's too much of an area to try to span down. I believe over here, because of the water to the south here near Radcliffe Cemetery and Bulltown, that this was a great region off the 35.5 to investigate where they could possibly be coming through. Just off the 19 near the 19.6 near Wine Gap. Them are some regions that I would get into. You know, it's not, you're not going to find them on the road. So you got to, you know, look for some structures, look for some things, and backtrack. You have to backtrack these things. You have to use their carbon footprint against them. That's how I've learned. And then, of course, we got our next 2 hubs. This hub would be near where, as you can see, all the lines start to fall together. This is Copley Road, yes, off of 17 near Rock Run. You got some houses down here to the west, southwest. This region right in here, I'm telling you, is a big hub highway too. Sorry about that. I would get in there and do some research right in here in this Copley Road area. You know, north-facing slopes. Sorry about that. Maybe some northeast-facing slopes. But that Copley Road region, north, south, east, west, that region, get into that region. I'm not saying it because I want to. I spend hours doing this for you. You also have a sort of a coming together near Alum Bridge off of the 10's to the west, Frozen Lick Road. Kind of crazy. But you've got a high ridge where they could come through up here right between the houses. North, south, east, west. I mean, but this region right in here above Alum Bridge and just below it is where they'd probably come through quite a bit right in there. So we'll put those on the map for you. That way, if anybody's across the whole state, I'm kind of giving you regions where you can go closer to you, or but this one here, this one I would be very gentle with. This region is going to be a major corridor right here, and there may be multiple families. There might be multiple crossings during the year. There's just so I've honestly never really seen them come together this much in a region. I'm gonna have to try to find you a road. The 60-3 MF build, whatever that is. So then you got Sand Fork down through here. I would be setting up shop in this region here just to show you, like up to here. Like, I would have this, you know, corridored off with cameras. I would be running things year round. I would be investigating as much as I could. I'd be running audio recorders. I mean, you've got multiple crossings, so you would just have to figure out, you know, if they're on their way, where are they going to hold up? They may hold up on this ridge here, you know, for a day or two or a week or whatever it may be, as they move north-south. But you can see the denseness of the forest. It's the darker shaded. So to me, they're definitely moving through here. You've got so much going on right in this region right here that you're really not at a road, but it's off the 63. Somebody lives there. There's a pond. I'm guaranteeing these people have some type of story to tell, because there's a lot going on right in here off the 63. There's not even a side road anywhere as they head north. It's so unimpeded for them. But that region right there is right in the middle of the state. That's what I would say. I would focus on that area right there, northeast of St. Clara Cemetery. And then the only other hub that I really even liked or would pay attention to is up near Avon. So if they do come out of this region, it's not to say that they can't go east toward Coldwater Cemetery, but this is what I call bold out, B-O-W-L, bold out. And it's just an expression. But when you look at the lay of the land, it looks like all these bowls. So as they come down, they're going to be more noticeable, because the way they come down into these regions near the 60 and near Indian Fork, and a lot of times they like to, what I call, backdoor things. They would keep going around that. Like, you can see this terrain feature. They either have to fall down into this bowl, or they keep going straight up over the knoll. And to the right, that's a huge bowl out here. This whole region. It's just, they're spotted easier. Not to say they won't be in the bottom of ridges when it's hot out, because that might be a perfect area to find them when it's 90 degrees. We're just talking travel routes that I'm trying to pinpoint, and one of the easiest spots for them to get across would be just north of Avon. So I put a point right up in here. I think you got some watershed going on. The Meat House Fork, it's called. Yeah, just north or just south of Avon would probably be another junction that I would pay attention to. You got some heavily forested area there. So to me, the rest of the state heading north doesn't really have any hub areas. There's so much unfiltered land. They could come from anywhere. It's too big to narrow down. There's really not a lot of pinch point areas. The topography is all the same, hilly, you know. So they could be anywhere through there, and you're not gonna, doing research or searching for these things, you're not gonna get anywhere, because it's so vast. So the only way to do that is really narrow this down, and I'm giving you the pinpoints and the framework to actually do that. And as you can see, if they come from the north and they're heading south, or they're coming from the west, so you've got a lot bigger cities out here. Point Pleasant, you know, what is that, Parkersburg? I mean, not to say they can't come across this whole state from all this going on, but over here, it's more, you know, rural, and it's a perfect highway down through here. And this hub in here, man, is something to talk about. So I don't know if anybody's in this West Virginia, you know, and not to say that they won't be out near Harrisburg or whatever. I'm just trying to say, hey, this hub right in here, north, south, east, and west, they will at some point come through here. I guarantee it. Get into there. Let me know. That area is so intriguing to me right here that I may want to take a trip down there and run cell cameras and leave them for a year. Yeah, that's something that you should look out for, look into. But just outside of Wheeler too, as they get down toward the Monongahela State Forest, another pinch point region. So hopefully this made sense to you. I'm sorry the videos are long. I'm trying to put it together for you like nobody else is doing, so you can't say, hey, I have no idea. But once you get to these areas, look for structures, you know, look for breaks or possible foot tracks in the mud, or, you know, things that are indicative of them that people have talked about. Is it all evidence? It's some type of evidence, you know. But you can kind of put it together and maybe backtrack it and see where it goes. So I hope you enjoyed this. Appreciate it. Like, sub, share. Till the next one. Later, guys.